isn't my enemy. It's my oldest friend. Yo, Joe, listen up, I got a story to tell about a guy named Logan. Oh, he's so swell.
Wait, that's me.
I'm the G.I. Joe gamer, cool and witty, talking about those characters, heroes and villains. On Wednesday nights we shout, Yo, Joe, or Cobra, talking about the Joe team and a Cobra tide. Yo, Joe, Cobra, Cobra. I'm here to give my G.I. Joe takes. Oh yeah, Yo, Joe, Cobra, Cobra. Joe's got snake eyes, the silent ninja in black. Quick with his swords, he'll give you a heart attack. Then there's Duke, the leader, so bold, gung-ho, always ready to fight and make those cameos. And we can't forget about Scarlet, the ultimate girl power. A fierce warrior, she'll make her enemies cower. Cobra's got Destro to supply the weapons. Cobra Commander plots and schemes, see ruling the world in his dreams. Zartan is never what he seems, and Baroness rocks that black leather outfit. Shoot you quick and slip out the back of the pit. Yo, Joe, Cobra, Cobra. I'm here to give my G.I. Joe takes. Oh yeah, Yo, Joe, Cobra, Cobra. Talking about the characters, it's a G.I. Joe thing. Oh yeah! Let's do this.
Mature content warning. On Logan's Joe Takes, strategic commentary may include strong language, heated opinions, classified references. Time to call in the Joes. Opposing forces may attempt audio interference. Logan's Joe Takes. Mission begins now.
Well, that's interesting. All right, I'm Logan, the G.I. Joe gamer, and this is Joe Takes 84 as part of Fridays from Hill 126. We're going to start by looking at the topic of our discussion tonight for Joe Takes, and that's Recondo, the G.I. Joe Jungle Trooper from 1984. I do have an original example with all original parts and accessories. The only issues I have with him is he's got a tip off his hat, and then I went to put him on a battle stand one day, and his ankle snapped off part of the peg hole. And I still have the piece, so I intend to glue it back on someday. But I gotta find the right glue, because there are certain glues that will disintegrate the plastic. Hey, we got people saying hi in the chat. It's good to see you. Cool gamer. And Betty popped in while I was playing my song and my intros. But yeah, Recondo came with this really cool gun that's kind of like, I don't know if you can see it. Let me see if I can get it up here closer. But it's kind of like wrapped in cloth. So it's camouflaged. It's really a really cool, neat design. And I'll show you a better example on the classified version when we get around to it. But the classified version did not give you a decent backpack for this character. Now, his original backpack is really cool. It comes with the water canteen and the bedroll, and you could actually pick up his backpack and carry it around. Now, with the delicacy of the plastic, I wouldn't do that with older figures like this, because you might break the thumbs off. So I'm not going to be doing that, but I'm going to put the backpack back on. I love the fact that the original figures, their guns would stay on, backpacks would stay on. Very rarely did they fail on that endeavor because it was a really good design. They didn't need to screw that up, but naturally, you know, they modernized things, and whether it's better or worse now is up for interpretation. So that's 1984 Recondo. They did not come out with another vintage Recondo, you know, in the original line from 1982 to 1994, but they did in 2003 come out with another Recondo, and there were some other ones that they came out with, you know, different years. This was part of the Valor versus Venom line, and this was what they called a mission disc pack. Is what mine. I didn't get the one with the mission disc pack. I got the other one, and the mission disc pack came with a knife. But I have several of these, so I gave him one anyway. So because it looks like a machete, but it's not. And then he came with one of those guns that snap into the vehicles and create like sound effects, which was kind of cool. And then he comes with a really nice sniper rifle. So he came with 2 rifles. Now the mission disc, which is the same figure, came with a different rifle and a knife and this ghillie suit that he's wearing, which I thought was pretty cool. Take the ghillie suit off. He's in a, you know, like a decent colors for a jungle trooper, but without the iconic mustache and the bush hat folded up on the side. To me, this just wasn't a Recondo figure. This could have been anything. This could have been anybody. And they did come out with one the next year, the same figure in Night Force colors, which was kind of cool. So, yeah, they had him serving on Night Force. Now, in 2010, they had a line, and ignore the crosstalk in the back because we got Red Interrupt is being rude today. Not just interrupting, he's just being rude today. In 2010, there was a line of figures that they called Pursuit of Cobra, and they brought a Recondo figure out with that came with all these really cool accessories. Now, I'll show you some of these. He came with 2 of these, and they do snap onto his vest. I'll show you. But it takes a lot to push both of them on. The other one generally falls off when you get one on, so I just decided to show you up close anyway. I would have ended up having to take it off. And they gave these to a lot of characters. Now, this is a common accessory, but this is not. These little traps he came with are like bear traps, and you know, there's a foot peg right there, so you can have a character step on it, and then the trap will see if I can get it to work with this other figure. You put the foot down, and the trap is, you know, when you push the foot down in, and like he steps on the trap, the bear trap grabs his foot, and it's kind of cool. It was a neat concept, and like I said, there's a little foot peg on there. It's not exactly foot peg size, but it has the general idea of it. And he came with 2 of these. One of them I have attached to the backpack because there's a line, so you can attach it to the line, and it pulls out of the backpack, and you can actually pull the whoever's trapped to Recondo. Like I said, he's got the other axe there attached to the vest, and this vest does come off, but it's a pain in the butt to put back on, so I don't bother with it. Now, he came with 2 rifles, which I thought was pretty cool. He did not come with a knife for this, but he came with 2 axes, so I guess that kind of makes up for not having a machete-type knife. But his gun is wrapped in cloth, which is kind of a Recondo staple. Now, this backpack has these solar panels. I'll take it off and we'll take a look. And the solar panels, it's a design so he can have power in the jungle. But Recondo doesn't rely on that. I thought it was interesting that they gave this particular character these nifty gadgets and stuff. He knows how to use them, but he generally doesn't need to. But, you know, when you want a little bit of luxury, you know, a little bit of power, he's got his own little power station on his back here, which I thought was interesting. Now, like I said, these guns, these rifles are okay, and they're pretty cool. And so he came with a lot of accessories. Now, his hat does come off, but so does this mask. He came with a Tucaro mask. We'll talk about the character in a little while, and I'm not sure if this is Tucaro specific, but the natives that he lived with in the jungles of Sierra Gordo were called the Tucaros in the comics, I'm pretty sure. And I don't remember them wearing masks, but I thought it was a nice little addition, and that's the only native tribe I'm aware of that he ever became a part of and lived with in the jungle over a period of time. But there he is. I dropped the rifle, of course, but it's on the table, so we're all good. Now, with the mask on, you have to push the hat way back, and his head doesn't move very well. It's probably the vest. I don't know. This design figure wasn't designed exceptionally well. I mean, the modern figures were okay in design, and I have to say, Pursuit of Cobra was one of the best ones that they did in that era. But they perfected it with Classified and made these figures so much better. But they're 6-inch, and these are 4. And the original were 3 3/4. So that's where we're at with that. And this came out, like I said, in 2010. And we need some background music because you don't want to hear me talk. So, but you know what? I did not load up any Joe music, so I will just put on Reaper's Column. All right, there we go. Just background music. All right, so like I said, the hat comes off, and he's for some reason bald. Now Recondo has brownish, really dark brown hair and his mustache, but at least he had his mustache. Let's see if I can better look at him. He looks kind of like a Gung Ho head. I mean, really, I think that they just made the same head for Gung Ho, and maybe they were, I think they had a lot of different design ideas for this line, and they may have thought they were going to make a Gung Ho figure, but decided to go with a Recondo figure. They did the same thing with a Zartan figure. I think that they intended on making it a Raptor figure, but then it went with Zartan. But like I said, this head looks like Gung Ho. It does not really resemble Recondo, other than he's got a mustache. But he's bald, and he's got a Gung Ho mustache, not a Recondo mustache. And I'll show you what I mean when we look at the Classified series figures. Now, put these accessories aside so they're out of the way while we talk the Classified. And apparently that music is too low because I can't even hear it. Wow. It's so weird sometimes how I can hear it really well and other times not. Same music. Okay. But Extreme Era, so what you want to do. Now, early on in the Classified line, and this is number 55, so it was like in the third year of the Classified line, I'm pretty sure, they brought you Recondo. He was number 55 in the series, and he was part of Tiger Force. They didn't bring him out in his original outfit at first, which I thought was kind of interesting and cool, but this was a Target exclusive at the time, and the artwork was really cool. So I really enjoy the artwork on this box, and so together it's just dynamic for Recondo. And this is almost like his original look. In the lighting, you can't really tell, but we'll get a better look at the figures in my On Joe Takes video, which I always play at the end of Joe Takes. So at the end of the episode of this portion of Fridays from the Hilt, I'll play it before we jump into other stuff. But yeah, he has a sculpted on machete on his original figure, which I'm glad they made that addition. He does come with a backpack. It does not stay on very well, so I didn't have it in his back. He can put it on his back. He has a different sized peg hole than other figures for some reason, and it stays okay, but it will fall out on occasion. If you like to watch, if you like the gun all wrapped up like it's supposed to be, not as much as the original, but still pretty cool. He does have the molded on pistol originally on the original figure. Comes in a holster that his pistol comes out, and he's got a sidearm. Okay. Now my rule for figures for all soldiers is sidearm combat knife. Hopefully a primary weapon too. But if they have a sidearm or combat knife, then they're good to go. Now he comes with a machete, so that's his combat knife. So he's good to go. And not many people can take Recondo on. According to Larry Hama, he's one of the toughest Joes because he fights the nastiest and the dirtiest, and he's one of the sneakiest, according to Larry Hama. He put him on a team with Snake Eyes and Stalker all the time, and he fit right in with those boys. So, and yeah, here's the Classified version in his Tiger Force colors, which were a little subdued compared to the original, and I used to have it, but I guess I parted it out. I don't know. I have a few figures that just are missing. So, who knows? I could have traded them. They might have stolen them. Over the years, it was pretty crazy. As a kid, you never know what's going on. And I wasn't really a kid anymore. I was 18. So I would have kids come over and look at my collection, and sometimes they go missing. too. So there's that possibility. But I do have his original. He came with, as a Tiger Force figure, he came with a Tiger Force Dragonfly, which when I do my Joe take on Wild Bill in a few weeks, coming up actually the beginning, we'll see. We'll see on that one. That might be coming up sooner than I thought. November, maybe. And right around the same time as my Veterans Day salute. So I've got 2 scheduled for November, and I think Wild Bill's the other one. And I'll show off all my Dragonflies, because I don't have the classified Dragonfly, but I have the original Dragonfly. I have the Tiger Force Dragonfly, and then I have one that they call the Locust that Wild Bill came with in 2000, and I'll show that one off too. So that's gonna be a cool episode. But he originally came with the Tiger Fly for Tiger Force in the United States. I don't know what they did in other countries, because they had a Tiger Force Wild Bill, which who was supposed to come with the helicopter, but I think they lost the mold in the United States, and so that's where they're at with that. But this was the only classified Recondo they had for a long time, and so I had slotted him for a Joe take way early on, and I was like, oh, yeah, I'm so excited to talk about Recondo, but I heard that they were going to do a retro version, and so I decided to wait, and I'm glad I did, because I finally picked up the retro version, and then I had other Joe takes scheduled, and I'm just glad that I'm able to do it now on Joe Takes 84. But he finally did come out on a retro card with his original look, which I thought was fantastic. He came out in the same 3 figure wave as Duke and Scarlet, which I have both of those as well. Very cool retro figures. He has the multi-language file card, which I do not care for, but this says, Recondo hates the cold. He loves hauling a rucksack through the bush and sweating through his camis. When he's in the jungle, he owns it. Anybody else is trespassing. Now, we'll get into the file card video that has all of that in it in just a little bit, but his file name is Daniel LeClaire. He's infantry intelligence, which intelligence is a big one. Most people don't understand. And then he's from Wheaton, Wisconsin. Now, the European version, they tell me it's from Australia. I don't know. I don't have that file card for G.I. Joe European missions. When he was part of Action Force, that version of Recondo is Australian, if I remember correctly. But this one is from the Midwest in Wisconsin. And here is your classified retro Recondo with the classified look. It's the same figure as the Tiger Force one, but with the original colors, it looks so good. But you know, that was the plan. They were always planning on bringing him out in his original colors after they brought out the Tiger Force one, but it just took them a little while to get everything together. Now this figure, I love the gun. The colors are nice. It matches the original more, not exact. It's kind of a more olive green on the new one and more of a tan on the original. And this is not the original backpack. The original backpack is more greenish or olive drab, as it were. Like his hat, it matched his hat a little better. I think this is from an accessory pack, to be honest. But that is his backpack. But that's the way I got a lot of things back then. I didn't buy Recondo out of the store. I traded him for comics or something. This one I bought, on Amazon, having delivered. But yeah, he's got the machete, and same, a little different coloration on the handle, the sheath, and then the gun, everything. He's got his pistol. Such a cool figure. And standard, it's just different colors, but more closely aligned to the original. Now the backpack is completely different, but you can get a better look at this backpack than the one that came with the other one, and it's completely different. It's supposed to resemble more of the original, but it doesn't. It doesn't have the handle on the top. It does have some explosives up there, which weren't on the original. I mean, it's a nice upgrade, other than the fact that it should have a handle on top, because that's the way Recondo's original backpack was. But I think they did a great job upgrading him. His look looks like he's been in the jungle for a while. He's not clean cut. Mustache, he's got the handlebar mustache going. Way different from Wild Bill's, and maybe when I do the Wild Bill, you know what? Since I have it right here I'll show you up close the differences in their mustaches. So there you go. Wow, Bill's more. Yeah, we're having a stash duel. Yeah, Tiger wanted to know if we're having a fight with the stashes. So not really a duel because depends on your personal taste. But I think Recondo's got more of the handlebar style, and Wild Bill's got more of the Southern gentleman style. But there you go. And yeah, the magazine does come out of the rifle, but they're very easy to lose, and we've lost a couple of them around here recently, so I'm not going to bother taking that out, just so you know. It does come out, and that is your classified retro Recondo. Now we need to learn about the character a little bit, so I've got his file card video. I'm going to play that for you, and then I'll be back, and we'll talk about his comic book appearances, his Sunbow appearances, and that'll give you my take on Recondo. Right back. Just a couple of minutes. Here we go. Recondo.
He'll fight for freedom. Yo, Joe! Code name! Recondo! Jungle Trooper! Wisconsin. Primary specialty, infantry. Secondary specialty, intelligence. Recondo hates the cold, he loves hauling rucksack through the bush and sweating through his camis. When he's in the jungle, he owns it. Anybody else is trespassing. Recondo was an instructor at the Jungle Warfare Training Center, where all the bad to the bone soldiers learn their trade. He learned his craft the hard way, waist deep in leech-infested water, or hacking his way through dense triple canopy forests while dodging bullets and grenades. As cruel and unforgiving as the jungle is, Recondo considers it his friend, especially if he can lure the enemy deep inside where they are cut off from support and help. Help, 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 help. Recondo is the G.I. Joe team's expert in jungle combat and survival. He goes into the jungle ahead of the team to scout for Cobra forces. He uses a solar-powered wilderness survival pack with a Claw J's multi-snare trap to capture Cobra troopers and discover what they are hiding in the rainforest. You go into the jungle prepared to fight it. You're gonna lose. You make your peace with the bugs, the snakes, and the heat. And then you've got half a chance!
All right. That's Recondo's file card. Hope you enjoyed that. Recondo in the comic books appeared for the first time in issue 32, which has a Dreadnought cover. But he was only briefly in this. He came to Joe headquarters at Fort Wadsworth at the pit, signed in, and then was immediately sent out on a mission where he was sent to Sierra Gordo, where he basically met the Tucaros and started living among them. He was put in position to watch Cobra operations in Sierra Gordo because they were doing all sorts of stuff down in that Central American fictional country. And get some music on in the background. All right. And then nothing. He made his first appearance, and then almost 10 issues or more, almost a year in the comics. No sign of Recondo at all. And so reading the storyline, you kind of forget about it because he shows up and then he's gone, And Stalker, Roadblock, and I think Gung Ho And Snake Eyes were, I'm pretty sure it was Snake Eyes too, were sent on a mission in Sierra Gordo, and they went down there, and Shooter was supposed to be on that mission too. So we're going to talk Shooter on our Veterans Day special. She was kind of the secret character, the 14th OG Joe that didn't exist until years later. But in the first issue of G.I. Joe, when I get to her Joe take, we'll talk about it, because I'm going to do, for Veterans Day, I'm going to talk about her and Agent Felix. It's going to be a lot of fun. Double feature on that one. But we're going to do Lady Veterans. It's going to be pretty cool. Okay, but now we're talking here. So Shooter was covering them. And so there were things that happened that Larry Hama just didn't explain in that. He may have had the idea that there was a sniper there protecting the Joes, because later on he told that story. Or not. He may have just made it up as he went, like he always does. And I kind of have that style of writing myself, so I get it. But they all show up in the jungle, and they're sneaking through, and we're talking Stalker, Snake Eyes, Roadblock, Gung-Ho. We're talking some bad to the bone jungle crawlers. And they get ambushed by the Tucaros and Recondo, and it's completely surprised. And basically, Recondo took them prisoner, and they were like, until they established each other's identity, they realized, oh, this is our jungle trooper. And so he was waiting for them, but he wasn't sure who they were. And so they all established each other's identities, because I don't think any of them had met before. I think maybe one of them had met him briefly at the pit. Yeah. Tiger's saying they rub each other's legs and they sniff each other like dogs, but no. It was a really cool scene, and then they went on this badass adventure with Recondo, and then you don't see Recondo again because he pretty much stayed there in Sierra Gordo. You see him again, and he was called in for the operation in issue 50, where they attacked Cobra's headquarters in Springfield, which was really cool. He was put on the team of the baddest of the bad G.I. Joes, Snake Eyes, Stalker, Scarlet, all freaking in Recondo. It was like, wow, Recondo's included in this? All right, man, he's a badass. And they were the alpha team. They went in first. They were the infiltration team, the recon team, and for Cobra headquarters. It was awesome. Very cool storyline, and Recondo got to be a big part of that. You see him again years later in Sierra Gordo, where he helps another team of Joes accomplish another mission. And I think there was a couple of missions where he was there, and he went on other missions. I think he was in some special missions where he helped the Joes in different jungles and stuff. But he was mainly focused on, for the longest time, Sierra Gordo in that jungle in South America, Central America. And years later, though, Falcon led a team down there, and they all got jacked up. The October Guard was there, and most of them, the original October Guard, got killed in that issue. It was in the early 90s. And that's one of the comics I'm missing in the regular series, in my regular comic series, but I do have them all in the hardbacks, thanks to Perk. I will continue thanking you. But so I have all issues 1 to 55 and the special missions and all that stuff. So in yearbooks. So everything Marvel I have, and I've read it all. I love the whole G.I. Joe storyline. But in that, I think I'm about to start, turn my light on here pretty soon. But in that storyline, Recondo and the Tucaros helped the Joes throughout the entire mission, and the Cobra was it was actually Darklon. He was cutting down the entire jungle. He was just decimating this rainforest, and it was heartbreaking for Recondo. And one by one, he watched every member of the Tucaros die. They were his family. He had lived with them for years. And they sacrificed themselves to help save him and save the Joes. And then Recondo went back to the pit with them after that. So it was kind of tragic and sad, but it was also a really good storyline. Larry Hama, nobody writes G.I. Joe like Larry Hama. And I don't think anybody can do it better. I don't know why when they make movies they don't go, hey, let's have Larry Hama come in and at least consult on the script. I mean, serious. But executives in Paramount and Hasbro, what you can do. You know, they do have quality control issues, and I think that's a major one. But at least they let him have a cameo in the Snake Eyes movie, a big one too. It was really cool, which was nice. But I don't know if they consulted him on the script, because that sure wasn't his Snake Eyes story. Let's just put it that way. That was actually Storm Shadow, but I digress. Okay, so that's the comics and Recondo, and I love that storyline. The entire Recondo storyline in that was just incredible with Sierra Gordo and the Tucaros, and Recondo was just an awesome dude. And he would show up, like I said, they'd call him in for other missions, other jungles and things, but those memorable stories down in Sierra Gordo were just incredible. And so that's his comic journey, and I'm not really sure the IDW era, or I bought like 2 of the Skybound so far, 301 and 303, oddly enough. But or 303 and 305. I'm not sure which ones I have. I've got a few, but I'm not able to pick them up all the time. I just can't afford it. So what's going on here? Okay. So that's the comic book, but in the cartoon now, he first appeared in G.I. Joe Rise of Cobra. And he led the team down. He was even in charge over Flint on a jungle mission to the Temple of Doom, you know. And they fought a giant snake robot, and the Weather Dominator was going off, and then a statue from the temple came out and it was fighting the giant snake robot. And it was action packed. It was cool. It was a nice intro to Recondo. But then, you know, they did very little things with Recondo after that. I mean, he had one of the coolest arcs and the starring role in an episode of G.I. Joe called Jungle Trap. Now, if you aren't familiar with that one and you love G.I. Joe, I recommend you watch it. That is a story where he, Duke, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, and Rock and Roll get trapped in the jungle after they get shot down in their dragonflies. The 5 of them are basically meandering their way through the jungle, avoiding Cobra's tracks, and that's why the name of the episode is Jungle Trap. Very cool, awesome storyline. Showed off Recondo's abilities throughout the entire issue. He showed them how to avoid traps. He showed them how to avoid snakes. He showed them how to avoid bugs, rivers, hyenas, you name it. In the jungle, he was in charge, man. Duke is the Joe commander, but the second they hit that jungle, Recondo was in charge. Plus, he gave the briefing in the APC before they left, which I thought was really cool. Now, also, you know, you had Recondo show up here and there in other episodes. Another big one was Where the Reptiles Roam, and he wasn't a major star of that one, but basically, Cobra Commander took over this laser in space and was destroying targets on the ground, including the Golden Gate Bridge. In that episode, and so the Joes were trying to stop them from using that laser to destroy other things. And as they were, you know, using their equipment to go towards the Dude Ranch where Cobra was headquartered at, it was just taking them out. Targets, their tanks, their jets, everything. And suddenly Recondo comes up, and Flint's like, "Recondo, how did you get through?" And he goes, "It may be good for big targets, but for little targets like us, it's like trying to hit flies with a cannon or something." You see, that's words to that effect. And it was like they all just got on the ground and started following Recondo all on foot. And suddenly they had all these little targets they couldn't target because they were too small. And Cobra Commander's like, "What are they doing?" It was awesome. And the Joes just moved in on the Dude Ranch, right, on foot. So, you know, it was kind of interesting and cool. And it's a nice little appearance of Recondo. And he had a few. You know, there was Red Rocket's Glare. He made an appearance in that one. I think the most significant one he made after that was actually in Arise, Serpentor Arise. He led a jungle mission against the Dreadnoughts, which was pretty cool. And he had some really, really cool lines. In Jungle Trap, he actually took on a rhino. and basically, Duke was going to have Rock and Roll shoot it. And Recondo's out, "Put your weapon away. I got this." And he goes over and swats the rhino in the ass, and it turns around to face him, and he basically has it chase him, and then it goes off a cliff and into a pool of water. And Rock and Roll was all glad I didn't have to take care of it my way, you know. And it was pretty cool. It was a nice little touch. and it showed off Recondo's skills, and I really enjoy that character. And I think he's one of those that is underutilized, but also utilized just right. I mean, he's right where he needs to be when he needs to be, right in the thick of the jungle. And I thought he was a great addition to Tiger Force. I don't think he was in any of the. There was only one Tiger Force mission, and I don't think he was a part of that. It was in Special Missions, I think 25, and Flint wasn't even a part of that. And Flint is, to me, Flint is the leader of Tiger Force, and Duke is his first sergeant in that, and that's what it says on the file cards: Tiger Force leader, Tiger Force first sergeant. So I digress on that whole command issue. But that is Recondo in his media appearances. He didn't show up later in the Deke series. I think he made an appearance in some of the other animated movies that came out later. I do not believe that he was in G.I. Joe Renegades. I don't remember or recall if he was. It's possible. He definitely wasn't in any of the movies. Got here. Hey Ray, how you doing? Let me load up your clip, sir, while I'm thinking about it. Good to see you. Rudini Cat's in the house, so that means I can do the full clip tonight, and because we had Jess and Ray in the house. But it's good to see you, sir, and we'll play those in the chat during the shout outs when Tiger joins me here in just a little while, about 15 minutes actually. But that leads me to giving you my take on Recondo and where I place him in my head canon. My favorite vehicle is the APC. It was cool that in the Jungle Trap that he basically had a command post set up in there and was given a mission briefing. I thought that was really cool. And anytime they have a jungle mission, I have him lead it. They had him as a corporal on all his file cards, E4 or specialist. And I'm like, that works. But every time he's in the field, I know that sometimes specialties trump rank in G.I. Joe, but I see him as a higher rank than that. Plus, he's supposed to be an instructor. Full clip alert, yes, sir. Yeah, he's got a full magazine going there. He's got it. It's just a little one, but he doesn't need many bullets. When he takes down a foe, he's right there. He sneaks up on him. He only needs one shot. But I see him as a sergeant first class. I always have. He's a team leader. But he also takes orders really well. And so I see him as, in my head canon, he's on Alpha's second squad. And sometimes he's their leader, and other times he's not.
Alpha has more squads.
Yes, it does. In my head canon, yes, Alpha has 4 squads, actually. Anyway,
So in that.
yeah, I know. Well, in that, yes, okay, whatever. But in that, they swap leaders all the time on that team, and the 4-man fire team. Sometimes they have other like soldiers join them. Like in my G.I. Joe Lady Blood Right, that should be coming out soon. As soon as Jess has my voices for me, if she's listening right now. The 4-man team in that, other than the G.I. Joe Trooper that comes with the 6th anniversary, I haven't over it. Anyway, I had just a regular trooper with them, so there were 5. Was Recondo, Cover Girl, Roadblock, and Red Interruptus, and Airborne, who at that time was the team leader because it was an air mission. They were there to hold an air base to take the Joes out, so that's why Airborne had been put in charge of that. He had just recently been promoted to an E7 as well. And then you had Roadblock, who outranked him, but was there to support him as the team leader of Alpha Second Squad. So, which I thought was an interesting story for me. I enjoyed writing that part of the movie, and I thought that they made a great team. Roadblock and Recondo all came out. Both came out in 1984. So I thought it was good to pair them up. And Cover Girl and Airborne came out in 83. So I thought it was nice to team them up in a little 4-man fire team, is what I like to call them, which is what they are called. Anyway, I think it's getting a little dark, so I'm going to click on my light here. So you can see me a little bit better. I prefer it without the light, but whatever. All right, so that's how I see him. He can be the squad leader, especially if it's a jungle mission, or he's part of my second squad for the Alpha team, Fire Team Alpha. And like I said, they have multiple fire teams for the Alpha squad because they have to. It's GI Joe. GI Joe. They have their teams, and generally have, like I said, I pair them into 4-man teams with a squad leader. Now, Alpha squad has a first sergeant, and it's generally Duke. And so that basically the squad leader answers to Duke. And when they're all together, Duke is in command because he's the senior NCO. And that's how I see things. Now, in Recondo, just fills that niche, and he leads jungle missions. And that's more than that. He teaches the Joes how to survive in a jungle environment. That's his job, and he's excellent, good at it. Now, one thing that most people don't talk about at Recondo is that his secondary specialty is intelligence, which means he's an undercover operative. He goes in and does recon and finds out everything he needs to about any position so that his team can come in and take it out. Or do what they need to do. Take it out, take something away from the base, rescue someone, like they did with Dr. Burkhardt, And I think it was issues 42 to 44. There was like a little story arc there where they went, and that was basically his first mission. Like I said, he appeared in 32, but then didn't show up for like 10 issues later, and they had that really cool mission. So that, really, for me, is my take on Recondo. But, I can sit here and talk Recondo all day because he's just such a great G.I. Joe character. A wonderful addition. The figure looks awesome. Even in 1984, this figure was fantastic. I mean, and the fact that the AI wants to tip his hat down all the time and not have it tipped up, I keep having to get on and go, no. The hat is the rim is up, folded up on the side like a bush hat. That's how they do it. That's how Recondo does it. And so, badass figure. And like I said, I'll bring the vintage up one more time, and we'll give it a really good comparison for the figure. You've got side. He does not have the sidearm on the leg because he's being a jungle trooper, so he has his sidearm like a pilot does. But being in the jungle, you want that gun as close to you as possible. You don't want you're crouched down all the time and hiding, and the best place for that gun is right there. So I think they made a really cool design choice. Ron Rudat was fantastic as a pretty sure his name was Ron Rudat. But he was a fantastic designer, and that was his design choice. This character is incredible in both look and personality. One of my favorite Joes. He's not in my top 10, but he's up there. There's just so many. There's almost 300 different Joe characters. So having just, the top 10, there's a lot to choose from, and this character is, I consider anything in my top 50. Those are my favorites. In there, let's find out where I place him, because I have a list, of course. Why wouldn't I? As the G.I. Joe gamer, have a list of my favorites. And my top 10 list G.I. Joe, because I have one for Cobra too, which is a separate list. It's odd how Storm Shadow is 19 on both my lists, but he's both been a Joe and a Cobra. And let's see, Recondo. Where does Recondo place on my top 50? He's number 35. So that's quite low on the fact that there's almost 300 Joes. So it's definitely in my top 35 even. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed my take on Recondo. I've still got the On Joe Takes 84 that I'm going to play for you. That's going to show the figures up close, the 2 classified figures, the card for the retro and the box for the classified. What I forgot to really talk about was his I did talk a little bit about it, his Tiger Force stuff. they really didn't make a big deal out of it until Classified, but I did talk about that in my Tiger Force episode, so check that out. I do have a lot more insight on that in that episode, but that is my full take on Recondo, and we'll continue in a little bit with Fridays from the Hilt, but I got the on Joe Takes 84 to play for you, and the outro, and then we'll jump into Fridays from the Hilt regular with Tiger jumping in here in just a little bit. And on that note, just for Joe Takes, Logan out, but we'll be right back for Fridays from the Hilt.
The jungle's breathing. Can you hear it? Watch new Joe Takes live on Fridays from the Hilt. All the same G.I. Joe fun just found a new home. Fridays are from the Hilt. Crimson Guard with eyes on the team. Snake Eyes silent and mean, but tough to rile. Roadblock rhymes and cooks with style. Duke has the first shirt, making with a plan. Cobra Commander schemes with his clan. Scarlet sharp hits, hard flips fast. Destro's armor gleams from the past. My G.I. Joe takes fierce and honest view. Red versus blue, it's up to you. Stay a while and listen for the consumerism. My G.I. Joe's takes given with enthusiasm. Zartan shifting sneaks in disguise. Storm Shadow's blade cut through lies. Baroness cold with her deadly aim. Shipwreck laughs, wins the game. Doc's healing hand in the fray. Flint shotgun clears the way. Major Blood's battle cry echoes near. General Hawk leads, we cheer. From the Hilt on YouTube, tune in for a day. Joe Takes to help you with your play. put these characters to the test. I'm Logan the G.I. Joe gamer and I play it best. Yo, Joe!